shoes and I'm busted.
AM 1220 KHTS. Carl Goldman here on your hometown station, along with Lou Esbin. Just before July 4th, we're talking about the July 4th parade. Hope you all have a chance to make it out there this coming Wednesday, early in downtown Newhall. I think it starts at 9 o'clock.
Rotary starts serving breakfast at 7 a.m. at the Roger Dunn parking lot. We've been doing it for 60 years.
Yeah, 60 years.
60 years. The debt doctor will be on his grill.
And the pancakes are going to be fresh, not 60 years old. They're fresh. But I've had those. Those are good pancakes.
Yeah, those are good pancakes.
KHTS fire truck will be out there. We have our city council members, Lorene West and Marsha McLean, are going to risk driving our truck with us on the back of the truck. Well, we'll see what happens. We're talking about bankruptcy here on your hometown station with the debt doctor, Lou Esbin, working our way through the top 10 bankruptcy myths, up to number 7 right now, and that is credit consolidation is better than bankruptcy.
Credit consolidation is a tricky thing. There are companies out there that do credit consolidation. Very often, they require or they tell their clients that they should send a certain amount of money every month, and they put that money into a trust account, and then once a certain amount of money is built up, they'll start negotiating with their creditors. But the first thing they do is they take their fees off of those monies. And very often then the clients are faced with lawsuits and continued dunning letters, even though they think that they've hired a debt consolidation company. So it can really be a problem. Some people find it works for them. Most people that come into me find it to be a disaster. Bankruptcy is, of course, an alternative. But what we also do is we do debt negotiations. But that requires a client who has a better income or an inheritance. And so then what we do is we engage the creditors and we negotiate a discount on the debt, but that debt is paid in a lump sum. And so what would happen is that we would negotiate the debt, we call the client, we say, hey, we need a cashier's check for this amount. We don't keep any money in a trust. The client is responsible for being able to do the deal. I think that works a lot better.
Myth number 8, bankruptcy will affect my child's education. Good question, though.
Well, let me put it this way. I encourage every couple, parents who come into my office who have at least teenagers, that they should sit down and discuss their financial affairs with their kids. That it's a responsibility to pass on to the next generation the financial problems that this recession has caused, so that the next generation is not faced with making some of the same ill decisions that have been made in our generation. And so that's the answer to, will it affect my child's education? It's a difficult issue. I mean, because you're talking about student loans. Will parents qualify for student loans?
You have special, I guess there are special educational accounts that you've been saving up over the years and putting
Those are not affected.
That's not affected. That's important.
So if you have a custodial account, or you have the education account for your kids, technically those are not property of the bankruptcy estate, okay, because those monies are held pretty much in trust for your kids.
So that's still protected. What about a student loan through the federal program?
Well, whether or not you're going to qualify for a Parents Plus loan after you file for bankruptcy is really a credit decision that would be made by the Student Loan Authority. So that's really a difficult question to answer.
Does it make, I imagine it makes a difference if, depending how far the bankruptcy is behind you and how much credit and what your credit situation is over that time.
Sure.
Is there a magic number, age-wise, I mean, time-wise?
I think it's really up to the credit issuer as to how they treat it. Most of them are going to look to see that there's a discharge entered, okay, so that if you're in the middle of a bankruptcy, even if you're in the middle of a Chapter 13, they may not give you that Parents Plus loan or take your guarantee, which means that your kid's going to have to be out there on their own. And something they may be entitled to grants. They may be entitled to things that they otherwise may not have been entitled to had mom and dad been in a much better financial condition. So it's a difficult question to answer. It's really a case by case and something that people should really research.
And the thing I was going to say, the important thing is to talk to an expert and make sure that you get some advice.
And there are people around town now who really deal more with planning for higher education, and those people should be consulted with.
Good idea. It is harder to declare bankruptcy now. This is bankruptcy myth number 9.
The bankruptcy code changed in 2005, October 17th, 2005. The bankruptcy amendments came through that were onerous. They really created an onerous system. Is it more difficult? It's more complicated. As I said, I wrote a book in 2005, 2006 on how to practice bankruptcy under the new law that was pretty well sold out. And it really requires someone who understands how the law used to work and how it currently works in order to advise a client on what they should be doing. It's not impossible. It's more complicated. More things had to be considered. But, we've had record numbers of filings nationwide during this recession. So I think that's going to...
So on an individual basis, let's stick with the Chapter 13 right now. If you could wave your magic wand, Lou Esbin, and suddenly get Congress to enact a new law that would help with bankruptcies with Chapter 13, what would that be?
I'd remove 2 commas that exist in Bankruptcy Code Section 1325.
That's it, just 2 commas?
2 commas. There's 2 commas that say, other than a debt secured only by a principal residence, and that phrase sits in between 2 commas. If that phrase between those 2 commas was removed, bankruptcy court judges would be able to modify loans down to the values of the properties. And had they passed that legislation in March of 2009, I think this economy would have been roaring for the last 3 years.
So that's gigantic.
That's huge.
That's huge right now. So what do we need to do to push them?
Remove that phrase between the commas.
Okay, we'll start working on that with our congressman.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's listening right now, Mr. McKeon. 11:50 here on your hometown station, AM 1220. Carl Goldman with you. We're chatting with the debt doctor, Lou Esbin, back right after this.